You started at zero, right? And now you're 8 figures.
You have to be honest to yourself. You have to keep your ego aside. You have to be like, hey, I need to poke holes. I have to look in the mirror.
Risk and investment, risk and rewards. How does that sit with you now?
One of the biggest mistakes what we did is investing in too many SKUs, parent SKUs. Comfortable. Oh, I've done 0 to 3 million, right? Similarly, when we went from 3 to 6, the market's also changing. So it's not only the business is growing, but the market's changing, right?
I actually should be thinking what I was doing previously hasn't worked. I need to look for something new. I need to change.
And Amazon's all about being relevant to that keyword for that market.
And what needs to change that you can actually cross that bridge and get to the next level? In this week's episode, meet Zamir, the CEO of Bumble Towels. He is the king of towels on Amazon. Find out about his journey and what he thinks it takes to get to number 1 on Amazon. Let's get in his business. Let's go. There's a lot of places we can go with Zamir. He is father, son, brother, businessman, textile king, but most of all, he's a friend, and he is a Amazon seller that's killing it. And when I mean killing it, I mean he is owning his category. And so we want to kind of unpack the category and tell you more about it so we can kind of inspire you and give you some fun and some joyful learnings. So I'm here sitting between two ferns, Zamir and Zamir. And let's start with the origin story.
Yeah.
Because you didn't kick off as the textile king, the king of towels. Where did it begin?
So I did my bachelor's in accounting, and I picked accounting because I was very attracted to the concept of entrepreneurship. But what better way to learn entrepreneurship than to audit Fortune 500 companies, get into their processes, albeit to check them, but you have access to these huge companies, their business processes, and then you're tasked with the force to really go in, understand their business process so that you can audit. And so I chose accounting as a career. I did my bachelor's in accounting. I did my master's in accounting. And I was able to work for PwC, which is one of the big 4 companies in the state of New York. I was based in New York City. I got my CPA there. And I worked on some really cool companies like M&M Mars, the chocolate factory.
Did you get samples?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
one of the few people who've been in the factory and have had an M&M from off the
Fresh
conveyor.
off the line.
Yep, and it does not taste anything like the ones that we have
Really?
in the package. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure the green M&M is the most powerful M&M.
Well,
You ordered it and you'll know.
Yep.
Absolutely. Alrighty.
anyhow, so that sort of gave me the background in understanding businesses and how they work. And then shortly after, I had an opportunity to work with my sister in a startup.
Mm-hmm.
And we joined hands with folks based in Pennsylvania who were already supplying to the retail stores with a product that came out of India.
Mm-hmm.
And we, being from Pakistan and having experience back home, we were able to source towels, both terry towels, kitchen and bath. And we joined hands together, and we really focus on getting our product in stores like Ross, TJ Maxx, Home Goods. I think you call them TK Maxx here,
Yeah.
but in the US it's TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Burlington Coat Factory, and we were doing private label. So we did that for about 3 years. We were very successful.
This just for anyone who doesn't know. So private label, you were selling it under their brand, and you basically, if you went to one of these stores and you bought their towels, it was actually your towel.
Exactly.
And a terry towel is one of those fluffier towels.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So
It's not just covered with Terry's face.
So we were doing that for a while. We were very successful, but we were seeing that the buyers kept on changing on us. So a lot of these retail stores,
Such
they
a
have
common story.
3,000 stores, 4,000 stores, and they kept on getting younger buyers who were more focused on numbers and Excel sheets and spreadsheets, but they did not understand the product. And because of the retail environment of the US, where there's always been a focus on increasing the profits and reducing the sales price, because everyone wants it cheap, but they also want it better. We were getting into this thing where the buyers were expecting unrealistic expectations from us, and we were seeing that what they're asking us to give or sort of sell to the end consumer is not really quality, and it's all getting lost between the middleman.
Yeah.
So to address that, we thought, how can we get to the consumer direct?
Hey team, we're hosting an in-person workshop with Scottish Enterprise on the 26th of November, all about how Amazon really works. From seller support to advertising, we'll show you how to make Amazon systems work for you rather than fighting against you. Tickets are completely free, and you can find all the information in the link in the description.
Right? If I'm going to make a good quality product, I have to charge it way more if I'm going through a middleman.
Yeah.
There must be a way where we can create a good quality product and then give it to the end consumer on not such hike of a premium. So we studied models, and we saw that there's a Shopify model where you start your own brand, but then that requires a lot of branding, that requires a lot of PR, social media, because in Shopify there's a two-pronged process. You're first trying to convince someone that they need your product, and then you're trying to convert them.
And even before then, you get them to your website, right?
Right, exactly. So whereas on marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, now Target has one, right? People already know that they want to buy your product, or the category that you're selling. You just have to convince them that you have the right product for that category. So we decided, let's try that. And in 2016, first we did a market research of what are the different levels where our product is selling. So, there's a dollar store, then there's a discount store, then there's a departmental store, then there's like a fancy departmental store like Nordstrom's or, Neiman Marcus. But then there were Costco's and Sam's Clubs. And then there were places like, new startups that had come up, like online startups like Parachute Home, Brooklyn, and Boll and Branch. And what we realized is consumers want a good, steady product, right? So we are in the towel industry, and what we wanted to give our consumers, or what our consumers were looking for, is a good quality towel, which means an absorbent, soft towel that's durable, right? But because of the advent of social media and all these new brands that have come up, they also wanted a good experience, and I think that really matters online. It doesn't have to be a fancy experience, but someone buying your product online must feel that it's convenient, and it builds some sort of a relationship. Now, of course, depending on what kind of brand you have, it could be a premium relationship or it could be an efficient relationship. But the idea is there has to be that connectivity. So what we did is we saw how the newer brands were doing things, and we packaged our product such that it evoked a feeling, an experience that you've bought a nice product. But that means nothing if your product is not nice.
Yeah.
So then we did a market research of what is a good product. So we went through samples. We went through Wamasuta. We went through Pottery Barn. We went through Restoration Hardware.
All the premium
but
towels.
But then also the lower end towels to see what the difference is, right? And because we have very strong manufacturing roots back home, we then went to the manufacturers. And, some of them are in family, some of them are outside family, and we can get this into, separately, because manufacturing is a completely different ballgame than retail.
Massive.
But what we figured out is, can we find a strategic partner who cares about product rather than the volume that they sell at? And I think that's the goal when you're finding the right supplier. And we were able to connect with few family and few people outside family, where we were able to source the product where they actually cared about what product went out. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, when you're selling online, anyone that buys it, even one person that buys it, is not happy, they put a review.
Yeah.
And once that review is on there, it hits your conversion.
Not coming off.
Right? So we just basically reworked that whole cycle, and that took us 2 years. And in 2017, we did a soft launch. In 2018, we did a proper launch, where we got the product packaged right, quality was right, everything was right, and we put it on Amazon, and literally we were sold out.
I love that, because this is quite different to like what the story we often hear, which is I wanted to sell online. I went on Alibaba, found some products, and just started selling it. This is like very measured, very considered. You went through and researched as much as you could to really understand not only the competition, but really the customer and like what they were looking for, and then worked really hard to deliver that for them in one online experience.
And there's a big reason for that, because there are a lot of businesses that you'll feel are trendy businesses, right? Something is in trend and everybody gets on that bandwagon, right? And you'll see a lot of business go up and then they go down really fast, right? And I think the reason is because a lot of people are doing businesses for the sake of business. Or like you said, someone wants to be on Amazon and that's their main goal. Well, if you're not addressing a true need, and you're not doing it better than other people out there. I mean, the first thing is if it's a true need, there's a gap in the market, right? So if you find that true need and then you're addressing it really well, but then you don't fall asleep while addressing it, meaning once you've achieved some sort of success, you don't let other people do it better than you do, you can't sustain, right? So that was the idea, to find a true need, which we happened to find it because we were dealing with the retailers, we were dealing with the consumers. And then we said, hey, can we address it?
Directly.
Yeah, and then when we were able to address it, we saw success in the short term.
So this is cool. And you said success in the short term because the idea, you started at 0, right?
Exactly.
And now you're 8 figures.
Right.
And it's a very respectable 8 figures. And so this wasn't like a straight linear journey, right? There's been a lot involved in that. So you said initial success. What was initial success for you? How did you define that?
So the reason I say short is because once we launched on Amazon, and this is in 2018, so the market was not as competitive. I believe in 2018, the product offerings, there was a gap, right?
Yeah.
So we were able to identify that, hey, there are sellers. And there were sellers that are still selling Amazon right now. They do much higher figures than us. So you would consider them as mega sellers, right? But the issue was the way they were offering their product. They weren't creating the brand feel. Right. And that's where we differentiated ourselves. In 2018, if you were buying a product in our category, you would feel like you've gone to Walmart and just picked up something off the shelf. Whereas we focused on not only giving it a good product, so our product was elevated, but that's what I was going back to, the packaging, the feel, the connectivity with your consumer, where they felt like, no, I'm not just buying from Amazon, I'm buying from Bumble. And that's the difference that we created. But the short-term success, the reason I say short-term is because we got the first part done, right? We were able to get social proof. We were able to understand that our consumer likes us. And they're willing to buy us more so than our competitor, even though they were bigger competitors. And if I were to translate that, it meant that we had better conversion. But the problem was...
We can geek out, it's okay.
But the problem was that we did not have enough inventory because we did not understand how Amazon worked. And we did not understand how online e-commerce supply chain works.
The ops and the logistics part of everything.
Right. So we were amateurs. So, we got the product in, we got sale, and we got really happy. And we're like, oh, wow, we're selling on Amazon, how cool it is. And then we're ranking on number 1. We knew, okay, we were on top. We didn't know what it meant. We're like, oh, we're on top. We're ranking. And then, boom, we don't have stock.
And then you're out.
Right. And so we're not making much money. And then this happened to me pretty much till 2021.
Just on, off.
Yeah, so for the next 3 years.
As you just worked at the logistics.
Yeah, worked the logistics and also the understanding that, but there were constraints, right? So, there are people that are, that have that resource where they can say, hey, I'm going to order a container and see. I do not have that cash flow, right? So for me, I had to really, really get to maybe... quarter of a container. Right.
I just did not. Because that's an important part of it, right? Because, like many people, you are self-funded, right? The whole thing is all funded by you, and so therefore, there's no outside investment. If you want to scale from everything from initial product ordering to ads, everything, it's all funded through the business.
It's just all funded, and that's where the problem was, that I just did not have funds, so I would rank. And I would not have funds, so I would keep on getting out of stock. But one of the biggest mistakes we did was because we were ranking for one product, we were like, hey, let's get 10 products out there, right? That's like, you can call it greed, or you can call it like, when you're riding the wave, you get excited and you're like, oh, I can ride more, right?
I figured this one out.
I figured this one out, right? So I brought in SKUs, not thinking I can't have enough stock for one SKU.
Yeah.
How can I have stock for 7 SKUs or 10 SKUs, right?
Yeah.
That's, mistake number one on Amazon. And the second is on Amazon not understanding the volumes that could have been achieved.
Yeah.
So in 2018, we had no idea of
how big the market
was. Big the market is. And that's the beauty of Amazon, right? That's the beauty of US Amazon especially.
Yeah.
The market is huge and you are always a drop.
Yeah.
And we never understood that. We were like, oh, we're on page number 1.
Done,
right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't work that way.
Reflecting back to the early days, with hindsight now, what do you think was some of your biggest mistakes? You look back and just those are the points that you wish you'd done differently.
Right. I think one of the biggest mistakes was looking at marketplaces and comparing them to retail stores, right? In a marketplace, it's one product that if is a good product, has good reviews, has the right price, you can build your entire business on that. Whereas when you go in a retail store, you have to have the entire family of the product, right? So if you're selling a bath towel, you need to have the smaller towel to it. You need to have the bigger towel to have. You have to have all the sizes and the colors. Or if you're in kitchen, you need to have the dish, the drying mat, the whole set. And that's a traditional retail mentality that you have to have the entire assortment of that category for your consumers, and that will give them the credibility that
and the buyer's gonna be looking for that stuff,
right?
Let alone the consumer,
right? So the whole idea is that you have to create the whole section, right? And that gives you credibility, but that also ends up becoming a one-stop shop for the consumer. And so initially we were going into Amazon with that mentality, and that directly relates into what we spoke about, not having enough stock. Because when you go with that mentality, then you have to keep stock of everything. And when you start keeping stock of everything, you can't have that depth in that one item that actually does rank. So going back, if I were to say one of the biggest mistakes what we did is investing in too many SKUs, parent SKUs, and going after it all. Whereas if I were to do it again, I would take one parent SKU.
Really own it.
Really create a strong supply chain for it. Because, in Amazon, it's like you are investing in the keywords or the rank for it to come up. You actually, initially, sometimes you break even or even lose money, right? With the hope that once it ranks, organic will be, organic sales would go up and that would bring in the profitability. But if you keep stocking out, that journey you just need to restart it. And as years go by, more sellers are coming in. The keywords are getting more expensive. So it just becomes, you're just fighting against yourself,
One area I always reflect on with you, because I think most businesses, including myself and Ali, the weakest area we have is on the financial side. And it's the area that you're so strong on. And I'm really curious for everyone that's kind of listening to this. When you look at your P&L, what are the key metrics that tell you that your business is healthy and conversely might be in trouble?
So from an accounting perspective, and I think it helped me to a certain extent, but it also did not help me to a certain extent. And I'll go on both of those details. So because, small businesses, startups are always cash strapped, right? Very early on, I realized cash is king. I mean, there's a reason that saying goes, right? Because no matter how profitable your business is, or no matter how well you rank, if your cash flows don't add up at the end of the day, or you're not able to stay cash flow positive at the end of the business cycle, you can't sustain yourself, right? You don't have any liquidity in other means. So having an accounting background, I think, really helped me navigate through that process. Because when I did make the mistake of having too many SKUs and I over-invested myself in it, and COVID helped with that, because what happened is in COVID, all the retail stores were closed, right? And the government was giving people money to help with the the consumerism of the market, because America is a consumer market, right? So they wanted people to spend. They did not want spending to stop. And everyone was really, really conscious about cleanliness and wiping counters, right? And did not want to use paper towels, because how many paper towels are you going to use?
Mhm.
So they were buying towels, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's home, so they might be taking a lot of showers, right? Because every time they go
Yeah.
out and they're like, oh, we don't want to get COVID, so they're taking showers, right? So there was a lot of use of towels,
Yeah.
and we could not keep stock. So if I'm looking from an accounting perspective, I'm like, I cannot keep stock. I'm making profit on all my items. Why don't I add more items? So on the bottom,
Yeah.
it's all going to add up to more profit. And I did that, and I got stuck because once COVID finished, people did not want to buy online as much. They want to go to stores. They want to
Mhm.
physically get out
Mhm.
there. And
Mhm.
then home was suddenly not a category that they want to invest in, because they're already over-invested in home. They were
Yeah.
like, hey, we want clothes now because we want to go out.
Yeah.
And then very shortly, they were like, okay, we've had enough clothes. Now we want to travel, right? So all of that inventory and all of the SKUs that I had created, right, to create the bottom line, because
Yeah.
I was so focused on bottom line, created an issue for me. But more importantly, it created an issue for me on cash flow, because now I had so much inventory
Yeah.
and so many different SKUs, right? And I think I got into that issue, but then getting out of that issue also was easier for me. Not easier in the sense, but it helped me to have a very strong understanding of cash flows, to be able to take everything out of Amazon, because
Yeah.
IPA also became a very big issue at that time.
This is
was
the
suddenly-
inventory performance indicator.
yeah, because their warehouses were being flooded. Because it was not
Yeah.
only happening with me; it was happening with
Everybody's doing it.
everybody else.
And
right?
this is and just to make sure the point, you went from having too little stock, and now you have way too much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're like, how do I manage all of this?
But the issue is, I went from having too little stock to having too much stock, but I never had enough stock in the main
And the key line.
key lines, because I was too busy
Yeah.
creating this
Panning out the
mega
rest of it.
yeah, exactly, because I was like, I'm getting X amount of sale from this guy, so if I get X amount of sale of this guy and I get X amount of sale of this guy, if I keep on adding it, my
Mm.
bottom line is going to grow.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, hey, let's invest in one product, really scale it,
Yeah.
because I did not have the understanding of how big Amazon market is.
Yeah.
And while I'm fixing is that, guys, that's when you guys came in. And from a mathematical perspective, when I plotted on my cash flow, I said it's not mathematically possible for me to have so many SKUs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take everything out of Amazon, because IPI was getting affected. For viewers, IPI was a score that they used to give Amazon sellers based on their sell-through rate,
Mm-hmm.
their excess storage, and things like that. What basically meant is they wanted warehouses that were efficient
Mm-hmm.
in the FBA model. And there were so many sellers like me who had so much
Mhm.
good stuck in there, that their warehouses were becoming expensive. They were penalizing people that had slow-moving inventory.
Yeah.
My problem was I had fast-moving inventory that I couldn't keep up with, and the slow-moving
Lots of slow
inventory
stuff.
clogging their warehouses. So I took everything out.
Yeah.
And I said, what sells really well?
Mm-hmm.
And I put that in. And the stuff that was not selling, I tried to either sandwich it through or liquidate it in the outside markets.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very very balanced dance between how much to sell on discount, how much to sell through the right products, how much to order to recreate that supply
Mm-hmm.
chain. And I think that all boils down to cash flow.
Yeah.
Just to point out, from those heady heights, like you said, the sales were really good during COVID, right, in general.
Yeah.
But by actually slimming down, you've more than doubled revenue, right?
That's correct.
So it just goes to show that we're not talking about necessarily making your business smaller.
Yeah, and that's what brings, I think that's what brings it down to the essence. To be successful on Amazon, I personally feel, of course, you need to be, going back to our story, you have to be addressing a need.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a true need for that
Okay.
product. But then in your category, for your target market, you have to be, doing that need at the price that the consumer thinks is right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we are a bit of a premium brand. We were giving more of a premium quality product.
Mm-hmm.
So our consumer was willing to give us a bit more,
Mm-hmm.
right, for that product. But having all of those first things ticked off, right? So once you know your consumer is happy to buy your product at the price, your quality is good, your reviews are good,
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important thing is availability of inventory and being
Yeah.
able to continuously monitor your inventory and having such a dynamic supply chain that if your sales are going up, you can then fasten up production,
Yeah.
or you have enough somewhere in the supply chain, right? Because towels have a 5-month lead time
Yeah.
from order to Amazon warehouse, FBA warehouse, right? Where it's available to ship. Because, you know, it takes 2 to 3 months for production, for 30 to 45 days of, you know, travel time from port to port, then 15, 20 days, you know, going into Amazon warehouse, and then a few days for Amazon to be like, hey, it's available for the 2-day prime window. So if it's taking 5 months, and if you're not agile, then you keep on going back to the same.
So just come back to the one point then. We're in the middle of just beginning of Q4, but you're this trade-off between risk and investment, risk and rewards. How does that sit with you now? How do you make that? Because you ultimately have to take risk, right? You mitigate it as much as possible?
Yes. So I think that also sort of comes back to the accounting perspective, right? Knowing my accounts really well, I know exactly what my fixed costs are, right? And I know exactly what amount of profit in the entire year I need to stay alive, right? And it's not only stay alive. If I have profit, it's not like I'm going out and buying Rolexes. Majority of that goes back into creating the supply chains, right? Because we're growing.
Yeah.
Like all of our businesses are, right? We're all just investing in our business again to grow, which is a good thing. but
Not for Rolex.
right? But
they're okay.
they're okay. Yeah, they're okay. I think it comes back to where do you want to be in terms of the rank on the page or the amount of. So you basically have to assess, okay, where is your overall direction in compared to your competitors, right? And on Amazon now we have the tools to be able to see, you know, where your competitors are in terms of sales volume. These are estimates, right? So if you know that's the rank, that's the area you're trying to go for, nobody's gonna get there overnight, right? We all know that too. So you make steps based on your advertisement or your strategy on slowly getting there, and those are milestones. Now, then you plan inventory based on those milestones, but you keep a surplus, a controlled surplus that your cash flow can afford. Not so much that, you know, if things don't go the way they go, you're gonna still be in a problem. So we're always keeping controlled surpluses. That might be stock sitting at the port of the factory, right? It might be stock sitting in factory that's already made. It might be stock sitting in our U.S. warehouses. So somewhere in our entire supply chain, our supply chain starts from the factory, the warehouses of the factory. We have warehouse holding at the port of shipment, in the water, at our warehouses in the U.S. or in Amazon, right? And now Amazon also has AWD. So you have so many places based on cost and based on your relations and strategic, points of holding stock. You have to create that surplus based on what your targets are and how fast you're going to achieve those targets. And God forbid, if you don't achieve those targets,
Then
you don't want to be in a
then you're
situation where
sitting on
where your cash is so out that it collapses. So I don't know if I answer your question, but you have to basically you have to make educated guesses, but always have a surplus somewhere in your supply chain where your carrying cost does not go higher. For us, it's back in the factory warehouse or in the port cities, warehouse in the port cities.
So you've scaled the business, 6 figures to 7 figures to 8 figures. Is the business pretty much the same model all the way through?
No.
Okay.
No. I think most of us, right? Business has to have very good fundamentals. And when you start a business, your business is of a certain size, and it's of a certain, it has a certain need in terms of the time you put in terms of the HR resources, in terms of the cash it needs, attention, etc. We all are so focused on our businesses, but we all do a lot of other things, like raising a family, being there, or maybe we're looking at other businesses, right? And we might have this habit of over-focusing on problems or not over-focusing, giving the right time to our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start doing really well. And then we start looking at other things or bringing new products or whatever it is. And then the business grows. But then there comes a time where those fundamentals start to shake. So we've seen this happen a lot with us. When we went from 0 to 3 million, we put in a lot of hours and efforts, right? I've manually packed boxes, shipped boxes, loaded up trucks. Like I've done literally everything. Worked on exchanges, But when I was reaching that 3 million mark, I was like, wow, I'm running, an amazing business. I have really nice employees. My systems are great. And at 3 million, I got into some obstacles or some issues, which made me think, wait a minute, my business is shaky. It's not on solid ground, right? And that's because the pillars that I had created initially, the business had overgrown it. And so I had to go back and invest on those systems, rather it be technological systems, rather it be going through the SOPs of operations, rather it be HR, rather it be working with strategic people like you guys, in terms of consulting or PPC, rather it be inventory management. So in our experiences, when we were from 0 to 3 million, at 3 million, we really went back in and we invested into a warehouse management software. We invested into order management software. We worked with our warehouse to install our softwares so we have better visibility. So for us, 95% of the issue has always been visibility of stock and being able to supply enough stock, right? We work with the strategic partners overseas on how they will produce. It's not going to be on a PO basis. They have to keep certain percentage of X stock so we can dip into it right away. And then visibility for our HR, right? It's very easy to tell someone to monitor sales, right? Or ranking. But the truth is, it's such a dynamic platform and things change so fast that someone can be monitoring it, but they might not be on top of it.
Yeah.
So how do you create a system where they're literally, anything that moves in the market, they know it. And not only do they know it, they have enough reaction time to react to it. And so, we were able to do that. Had we not done it, we would be finished, because people that are coming in the market, they're better evolved than you. They're faster than you. They don't have this. They're not coming from a cushy, comfortable. Oh, I've done 0 to 3 million, right? Similarly, when we went from 3 to 6, the journey from 3 to 6, very confident, everything is going well. We hit 6 million, lots of issues.
Another chasm.
Yep. And then again, it actually takes pain. It actually takes, you have to be honest to yourself. You have to keep your ego aside. You have to be like, hey, I need to poke holes. I have to look in the mirror and see, to be honest, where the issues are. Because you need to realize it's you at the top. And it's because of you that those issues have not evolved. You have a lot of people, you have a great team, but they're focused on their tasks. You cannot expect them to be the entrepreneur or to look at things from a high level strategic level. And we often get carried away with our successes, right? Or we're busy in other things. Same thing happened to me at 6 million. And I kid you not, I'm at the exact same spot. So we've doubled since that. And I'm again looking at my systems and I'm like, wow, there are some glaring mistakes. There are some glaring holes. And fact that I'm a CPA, fact that I have so much, how can you not see that, right?
But I think the lesson in that is basically knowing that your business is going to evolve as you grow, and you have to be reflective enough to look at when are those times, and what needs to change that you can actually cross that bridge and get to the next level. And that requires some introspection and just really understanding both your business and also your capabilities and what needs to change.
Right. And I think one more thing I just want to add, you're 100% correct. One more thing I want to add to that is the market's also changing. So it's not only the business is growing, but the market's changing. Right? Yeah. And you have to be relevant. And Amazon's all about being relevant to that keyword for that market. So, yeah.
Ali, I'm really excited. Look, we've been wanting to have this conversation with Samir on camera, specifically so that we can share this conversation with other entrepreneurs that are facing similar dilemmas or going to be coming up against them. But it was really nice. We've had these conversations over the last however many
offline,
years.
we have it all, all the
Yeah,
time, right?
right. So and it's like we've always said,
we now get to share this.
yeah, we get to. It's something that as entrepreneurs, this isn't a zero-sum game, right? We all grow, and we see each other growing, the businesses, and the value add of having these conversations dramatically. We know every time we get together and have them, there's going to be a bump that follows, right?
Yeah, because that's another part of it. You kind of touched on it as well. Is like you have these moments of, because a lot of entrepreneurs are isolated, right? You're by yourself, and so it's knowing that yes, you're potentially hitting this hurdle. Maybe it's not you. There's something you can fix. There's stuff that you can do, and it's just some introspection and maybe sharing some thoughts with people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think all of us, when we've hit those hurdles, one of the first thoughts that comes back is, hold on a second, why don't I go back to what I was doing previously? Because that worked.
Right.
And what we actually should be thinking is, oh, what I was doing previously hasn't worked. I need to look for something new. I need to change.
Right.
But I know from myself, introspectively looking at it, but also having had conversations with so many founders that hit this point, and it's like the automatic is, let me go back to what used to work.
Yeah.
Rather than
that's
looking
at the
forward.
safe spot, right? That's an easier answer.
It's much easier, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you don't have to blame yourself because other people have messed up. It's like, I'll go back to what I used to be right.
I used to be right. I handed it out to my employees, and they've messed it up. So let me come fix it out.
Yeah.
But,
for things to change, I must change.
Yes.
I love that. Cool. Okay. Well, I think that's a good spot to wrap it, because I think it'd be great to have Samir back on a future episode. So sequel to come. And if you've liked this, if you've actually enjoyed this conversation and you want to see what more from the king of textiles and really get a touch of his fabrics, then drop a like, drop a comment, and let us know so that we can kind of like get him back in and show him some love on that.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure.
And thank you for being awesome, because you're awesome.
One love.
One love.
One love.
Peace.